Hi, I'm Sean K. Reynolds of Magpie Games, and you're listening to Morrus's unofficial tabletop RPG talk.
This week, Morrus, PJ, and Jessica go over all the tabletop RPG news of the week, including Gen Con announcements for Dungeons & Dragons, Paizo, the Alien RPG, Magpie Games, and more. This week on Morrus's unofficial tabletop RPG talk.
This week, this sorry excuse for a podcast is sponsored by Lilith's Mattresses. Lilith's Mattresses have a unique combination of high-performance straw and hypoallergenic newt-scale filling, which delivers contouring pressure relief, core support, and a guaranteed 87% lice-free sleep. Oh, that just sounds awful. In my experience, people need a few lice to remind them that they're alive. Nothing like a good rash to focus the mind. Well, I suppose if you want to spend good money on a glorified sack of straws, I suppose you should get one.
All the tabletop role-playing news, we aim to amuse and we aim to enthuse. And Morrus's unofficial tabletop RPG talk.
Hello, and welcome to Morrus's unofficial tabletop RPG talk. I am Russ, aka Morrus. I am speaking in a strange cadence, and with me this week is...
PJ Coffee from the Southampton Guild of Roleplayers.
That's very Captain Kirk.
Joining us today, we also have someone. Say one thing for her. Say she knows what a wall is.
It's me, Jessica from EM Publishing. Sorry, I couldn't carry on the bit with the weird cadence. I apologise.
If we discuss it in some fashion...
I think we'll stop doing that now anyway.
Good, that was my hope.
An entire podcast in that cadence could be...
I was worried about it, because I do know, Russ, you do like to commit to the bit, and I was like, oh gosh, this might... Someone needs to interrupt this cycle.
You know the fundamental rule of comedy, if people don't laugh the first time, do it again and again and again until they do.
Or you can explain it as well, because explaining a joke just makes it more funny.
It does make it add to the funniness.
It adds to the humour, 100%. 100%.
What's even better, I find, if you explain the joke before telling the joke.
Oh, yeah. That's
really
yeah.
good. Yeah.
I'm going to try that, yeah.
Yeah, a little comedy tip for you out there, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, certainly you would have to be an extremely skilled practitioner of the comedy arts if you could explain a joke, tell the joke, and then have people laugh. That would be pretty amazing.
Well, obviously we are all very competent comedians here. That's why we're here.
I think I just described Stuart Lee's shtick. He's very meta in his routines, and they go on for a very long time.
I see.
There we go. Anyway,
Right.
should we talk about...
Let's talk about stuff.
Tabletop role-playing games. I don't know, maybe... We could do a comedy podcast separately to this.
Is this not a comedy podcast?
It is not.
I mean, is it a laughable podcast? Sure.
Yeah, but not by our intent. Yeah. There's a difference between at and with.
Oh, I don't know. I intend for people to join in the fun.
Anyway, we have lots of D&D 2024 Players Handbook stuff to talk about, but we are going to be cool and leave that to the end. Because we're evil like that, and we're going to start with the non-D&D stuff first, and then we're going to get to it a bit later.
Well, if we're doing other news first, the bit of news that I liked the most from the week, can I share that? So, Gen Con is this weekend. None of us three are going, but lots of other people are.
In fact, it's sold out. Yeah,
it's sold out. So if you haven't,
70,000 nerds, that's a lot.
Nice on a hot weekend. Ooh,
don't just roll up to Gen Con expecting to get a badge. Now you can't. They will turn you away. Yeah. They have sold every single one.
It is sold out. But for people there, I hope you have a lovely time. And I'm sure we'll have lots of news next week that falls out from it. And there's awards. We're going to have the Any Awards that will be. We're recording this on a Friday, so we don't know the results yet. But we do know the 2024 Diana Jones Award, who that's going to.
That did happen.
Yes. That is going to the United Paizo workers, which I thought was very cool. So it's the Tabletop RPG's first kind of labour union. So for folks that work at Paizo, obviously that's pretty self-explanatory. I think we've talked about them before and stuff happened there.
Yeah, we've had them on the show, in fact, I believe. Or am I just making that up? No, we have, haven't we?
Yes. A couple of chaps whose names I can't.
Yeah.
I recognise them if it's all. Lovely guys.
But yeah, so they won the the Diana Jones Award.
Yes, not Indiana Jones.
No. That's the pun. That's the joke. But yeah, so it's given each year to a company, game, event, concept, or something like that. But this year it's actually a group of people, so PJ will be pleased. So it's not or an organisation opposed to a concept. The concept,
I know you love it so much when it's given to a concept.
PJ loves a concept.
That's your favourite thing.
Yes, it is. Anyway, but yeah, so I think that's really cool that they won that. Other people that were other finalists were a games convention, Adepticon, the games designer and over Pink Tiger Games, Amy Bao, Danish RPG Convention Festival, and there was a charity bundle for TTRPGs for trans rights in Florida that were also eligible for the award. So well done for them for being eligible for it, because getting nominated is a huge thing in itself. But of course, congratulations to United Paizo workers. And I was really pleased to see that, because I think the tabletop RPG space, so many people want to work in it and are passionate about what they do and are willing to put up with a lot of nonsense and things working. And some organisations and people can take advantage of that. It's open to abuse. Not everybody does, obviously, but I'm saying there's a potential for that because of that. And I think it's really nice to see like workers unionising and taking control so that it's more difficult to take advantage of them.
It's great to see Paizo leading the way socially and saying it's actually socially acceptable to have unions. Very forward thinking, I'm sure.
Well, there's not many companies in the TTRPG space that are sort of big enough that a union makes sense, but Paizo is one of those few.
Well, a lot of people are freelance in the TTRPG space, and I haven't
freelance union, that could work.
I think I've heard talk of people looking to do something like that. That is resources and legal things for people that work in freelance, so that there's some protection.
Yes, I literally saw that this week, and it is gone from my brain. But there is a newish organisation.
Yeah, I don't know much about them. I think we mentioned it at the podcast a few weeks ago. Yeah.
It's
for tabletop, so it's board games as well as RPGs.
Yes, yeah. Well, that was a good bit of news, wasn't it? Can't even remember the name.
We'll look it up and try and get Daryl to insert it here. But there are things like that happening, and I think good.
Yes.
That's my summary. But does anyone else have any other news they would like to share?
There is lots of news. Dragonlance news. So, in February, there is going to be a new omnibus edition of the Dragonlance Chronicles. There have been various omnibus editions before. In fact, I've got one literally right there. I'm looking at it right there.
Is it big and white?
This one's big and black and yellow. Or gold. Black and gold, black and yellow, black and gold. So it's a black book with like...
Is it like pseudo-leatherette?
Gold writing.
Sort of like the Necronomicon.
I don't know if it's leatherette. I can't tell from this image. It doesn't... No, it probably isn't.
Oh, is this the one that's coming up? Because I thought you were talking about previous examples, and the previous example of the Dragonlance Chronicles that I have is a big white book, like white dust jacket, and it's got a 10.5 elven stem, and...
This is... I mean, it's very old. Everything's faded off
you've lost the dust jacket.
Yeah, I've lost the dust jacket on that one, but that one's blue.
You don't like that picture? I'm someone that removes dust jackets from books because I like the cloth bound.
Because you like dust?
I love dust, yeah.
Yeah.
My partner is allergic to it, so I feel somebody in this house has to be supportive.
Fair enough. Anyway,
good to know.
Yeah. So this is coming out in February. It is Dragons of Autumn Twilight, Dragons of Spring Dawning, and Dragons of... what's the other one?
There's Dragons of Autumn Twilight, Dragons of Winter Darkness.
Yes, Winter Night, Spring Dawning. Yes. And there is going to be a foreword in it by actor Joe Manganiello, and a massive Dragonlance fan. And it's going to cost you $35 American dollars. And you can pre-order it already from a whole bunch of different locations, should you wish. I mean, I've already got one, and I've also got one for the Dragonlance Legends as well. So it's I don't think I need another one. But if you were looking to pick one up, you can pick up. There's Amazon, Barnes and Noble, all over the place. You can pre-order it already.
Nice.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah. Any talk of a reissue of the TTRPG modules that these are based on?
Not that I've ever heard.
Fair enough.
They did it for 3E. redid them for 3E, but I don't think they've revisited them since. I don't think they will.
I don't think it's in line with their vision for products and so forth. So yeah.
No.
I have a bit of news if people are interested. Have you ever looked at Dungeons and Dragons and thought, it's okay, but is it cozy enough? And you're like, what are you chatting about, PJ? What are you chatting about?
I mean, I have to admit, no, I have not.
I don't think of...
Pray continue.
I don't think of D&D as a cozy game. I do not.
Interesting. Like, because there's a lot of interest in coziness in the space of TTRPGs. And a lot of people trying to use D&D 5th edition to run cozy games, which is definitely a choice. But
can you define what you mean by... what do you mean by cozy in the context of a role-playing game?
I feel there's like a sort of a cross-cultural thing where I normally have to be a bridge between cultures. In the same way that I had to understand what boomers and Gen X were talking about. I had to understand what millennials and Gen Z were talking about. So let me try and breach some of this divide. Cozy in the sort of sense of, like, the Shire, start of the Lord of the Rings. Quite a nice place. You can see yourself sitting there. It's not really a heroic fantasy setting, although it is part of the seminal heroic fantasy setting work. So it's people who want to be from this sort of place where you can be a beekeeper and so forth.
It's a term used in digital games as well. There's loads of... It's a genre like of cozy games. Yeah. And it's where the stakes aren't really high. It's relaxing. It's not stressful. So it's the idea that you...
like those farm building games and stuff like that.
Stardew Valley does count as a cozy game. I was playing it just yesterday and I'm sat here in dungarees with strawberries on. I love a bit of Stardew Valley. I love a cozy game. So pray do tell
PJ. You put dungarees on just to play a video game?
No, I just own dungarees.
Oh, right, okay.
Because this is my Stardew Valley aesthetic.
I see, okay.
But anyway, PJ, you were saying cozy games in TTRPGs. Carry on.
If I may draw your attention to the show notes, you will see that from Jesse Mullins at Plant Witch Press, you have a series called Hearth and Home, Cozy Cottage Origins.
Okay.
And I see
and this is for A5e.
It's for A5e. It will do D&D quite nicely as well. Some call it cottagecore.
Okay, yeah.
I respect that. Like, that is a decent way to explain it. It's not like, if it had been called cottage punk, I would have something to say about it.
That's your second favourite thing. After concepts being given awards, things attached to the suffix punk is your second favourite thing.
Which are not, in fact, punk. But yes, I think it's just... I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's fine, we understand.
Yeah, so cottagecore. Yeah, exactly. It's like, I do enjoy it. So there's like lots of heritages, which are going to range from crow people to fox people. Expect an emphasis on woodland animals, because that's pretty damn cozy.
I love
New
that.
rules for accounting for tiny heritages, which I'm very much looking forward to seeing. Expanded heritage options for your regular A5e races, including more options for halflings, gnomes, and from Dungeons & Dragons Rides, mycelials, and more paragon gifts as well. 6 new cultures, 6 new backgrounds, archetypes to let you go full friar tuck with the jovial friar cleric, or you can instill wonder and joy in children with a toy maker artificer, which is pretty good. And it's 82 pages, which is pretty solid, beautifully illustrated throughout. So Hearth and Home Cozy Cottage Origins.
Super.
I like it. That sounds good. I like this. I do like cozy games.
Yeah. It's all about the right sort of people saying it, because like I think for Russ, this is not a sale. He's like, whatever, I don't care. That's fine. But for people who would like to embrace the options of having some coziness, some low stress D&D and some interesting stuff, it's a very solid proposition. I think it's amazing.
So here's my question then. Say I was playing in a cozy themed RPG game of D&D.
Or level up A5.
What sort of adventures would I be going on?
Oh, I know.
What was a cozy adventure?
I could DM this. So we live in a town. Or like a Shire type environment, and where there's going to be lots of exploration challenges of things that we're doing. Maybe we get loads of quests from the villagers to do things to help them do stuff like,
things like what though? It's not going to be like kill the goblin there, is it? It's going to be...
No, it's going to be like, so there could be an exploration search for, like, I've lost my cat.
I see. Okay.
Go around and do that. Or someone's like, there are rabbits getting into my crops and I need some sort of way to keep them away.
Yeah. Well, I'm travelling around in my brightly painted red wagon.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
Delivering mail to the various villagers, and my black and white familiar, my cat, has gone missing, and we need to help me find it back.
So it's all quite low stakes quests that aren't like life or death, and you'd really focus on the social and exploration pillars of the game opposed to the combat. And I'm sure you could have combat in some ways.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's ways.
But it's not the focus of the game.
Yeah, that's not that, because you're trying to encourage players to explore the game in a different way.
But that's the thing with A5E; it has the options for more modes. There's sports available. Exploration, there's work on social. It's like really lent into the modal design that was inspired by things like Pathfinder and Lancer, and things exist. Chases, for example, are a great example, and there are rules available for them. So you can just basically frame it. You do not have to have bloodshed if you don't want to. Part of the joys of A5E. Just saying.
And you could have an entire campaign that's like cozy themed, or you could just have a session or two that's like that your players are like, oh, do you know what, we're really burnt out in real life, I could really do with a break from high stakes, and you're like, okay, let's have a session or two where we stop in this village and we just do cute stuff, because that's who we are.
Go to the pub, have a lovely tavern.
Things like that.
Well, staying on the theme of cozy stuff, then.
Cute.
There's another sort of cute and cozy thing been announced.
Are you talking about
from Free
Are you
League?
talking about the Alien role-playing game 2nd edition?
Famously very cozy. I definitely think that probably is defined as cottagecore.
Interesting.
Well, I think the creatures find a very warm and cozy place within your heart at times, yes.
Exactly.
Not strictly
A little too
adjacent
literally at times.
I don't know what they do when they're in there, but it's not good.
No. It's giving me a lot of Scavenger's Reign right now.
Yeah. Anyway, this is a 2nd edition of Free League's Alien RPG has been announced.
Wow, they only just brought out 1st edition,
5 years ago was the 1st
5
edition.
years ago. Crikey.
Yeah. So this is the 2nd edition. It's going to be coming to Kickstarter soon, this fall. Obviously, it will do very, very well because it's a Free League Kickstarter, and they always do. It's got nearly 4,000 followers already. So 2nd edition and a new cinematic scenario or adventure called Rapture Protocol.
It looks like they've updated and streamlined a lot of the rules opposed to changing it completely. So I think it will... but they are being brave enough to call it a new edition, I think is what's happening here.
Yes, they are calling it a new edition,
So in some ways that other publishers that we'll talk about perhaps do not wish to after updating and streamlining it.
Yeah. So it's going to be a starter set. And it's going to be designed as obviously a starting point for newcomers. So it's going to have it's going to come with the starter set as well, sorry. It's going to have like a bridge 2E rules, character sheets, dice, reference cards, handouts, and an adventure. So that'll be the starter set. And then there's going to be an adventure boxed set called Rapture Protocol. And this features a small star freighter, and you're the crew of this small star freighter on a resupply run to a remote industrial colony, and obviously nothing will go wrong, and that'll be lovely.
Happy good time to wait.
Yes, yeah.
You're going to have a great time. No problems whatsoever.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, at least you know what you're letting yourself in for.
Yeah. Second edition Alien RPG.
Yeah. I think if you haven't got the Alien game, this could be a good place to jump in. I mean, for me, I've got the Alien game, so I'm probably not going to jump in on this because I can't.
Yeah.
As somebody that's got the stuff already, I can't see the draw to update it. Yeah, but I say if you haven't got it, jump in here. And it sounds like there'll be new scenarios and stuff.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, if there's a starter set there as well, that's ideal.
Have they talked about the changes they're making to make it a 2nd edition, or is this
not
like
specifically
a reprint?
yet? No, not specifically yet.
Not yet.
I mean, because
I imagine we'll hear more soon.
I'm a bit concerned because you have to change 10% to the new edition is the number that we've
publishing
banged
that's the
around.
rule.
Yeah, that's not how the word edition is used in TTRPGs.
No, it means
it's got a totally different meaning.
Yeah. So I guess it's quite interesting to think what they would change about it because
I saw.
It sounds
a
like
robust but lightweight system. Sorry,
I saw a thing where someone, I think it might have been Jeremy Crawford, one of the D&D sort of lead designer people, were in a video or panel or something, and this is really recently, this was this week, and they said what we're publishing is what elsewhere in the publishing world would be termed a new edition. And I'm assuming by that he's referring to that definition that you were just referring to. But of course, in the TTRPG world, it's not a new edition because
in the same way that the 2024 Player's Handbook is not a new edition.
They have declared it not to be a new edition,
yeah.
and we respect their right to define it that way.
I think for me, if you're making more than 10% changes, I'd like to know it's a different edition. Just so I don't go crazy if we've got different books and I'm like, yeah, it's on page 30, and they're like, no, it's not. And I'm like, things like that.
If they're changing wording of mechanics, that's important. I guess if it's changing the law, then if you want to take established law and they're changing it, I guess that's a problem as well.
Well, in the Alien RPG, obviously they're not going to change the law because that's established by the IP, by the films and stuff.
Fallen London, the role-playing game.
Fallen London. Okay.
Yes. So this is by Magpie.
It's a video game.
It's a role-playing. Yes.
Yes. I realised you're talking about the role-playing game.
Yeah.
What I mean was is that based on a video game?
I caught up a step too late and I stumbled. Yes, it is based on the browser-based game Fail Better from Fail Better Games. So, but this is the TTRPG version. Being done by Magpie Games. It's coming out in 2025 next year. It's using a proprietary game system, which Magpie are developing, which I'm excited about, because I like Magpie Games, because they create cool, different systems, and I like that.
The Avatar Last Airbender system, didn't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which was powered by Apocalypse, yeah.
What am I thinking? Is it Odin's? Not Odin's. Bluebeard's Bride as well.
Oh, yes, Bluebeard's Bride. That was
Well, I want to run that, but I need to curate the right table for it. But anyway. So, we're talking about, Fallen London, the role-playing game by Magpie Games, who also did those. Yeah, so they're making their own game system for it, so I'm really interested about that. There has been a previous RPG based on the franchise called Skyfarer. It's not available currently on the Fail Better Games website, but it is available on the Wayback Machine. So there is a game out at the moment on that, but this is a new thing. But yeah, so I'm excited about it. I don't have much more information than that about the mechanics or things like that. I'll probably get them on Not D&D to have a chat about it, so we can dive into the mechanics at some point. But yeah.
Okay. Oh, I noticed that the Stormlight Archive RPG, which is releasing next Tuesday, 6th of August.
Oh, so that soon? Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm quite excited. Not that I've got any connection with the IP itself.
No.
It's just that I know it's going to be enormous, and I just get excited when I just want to see how big it's going to be.
So previously on this podcast, we compared the size of the number of people who are following this to see what launches to the size of the army of Uruguay. You'll be pleased to hear we are now up to the size of the army of Zimbabwe.
Okay.
29,231 followers, which is the same mass as the number of active military members.
That is a lot of people. Do we think it's going to beat Avatar or not?
I am literally comparing it to armies for a reason, because it's so many people.
Yeah, but Avatar had 80,000 backers in the end, so...
This is pre-launch, so I think it's worth capturing this information, because...
Yeah.
We shall see.
Interesting. Should we talk about some Pathfinder and Starfinder and other Paizo stuff?
Oh, yes. Starfinder 2nd edition. They got a copy of the rules on the Paizo website, if I recall.
Yep, the playtest rules. So there was a big gold panel at Gen Con, the Paizo keynote speech, and they kind of outlined a whole load of stuff that's coming down the pipeline. So the Starfinder 2nd edition playtest launched.
Yes.
yesterday. There's a rulebook, there's an adventure called A Cosmic Birthday, a couple of Starfinder playtest scenarios, Shards of the Glass Planet, and It Came from the Vast. And this playtest is running up until the end of the year.
Okay.
And there's like 6 classes, 10 ancestries, all the magic items, spells, all that sort of stuff you need. And so if you head on along to starfinderplaytest.com, that's where it's taking place, and you can like submit survey responses and give them all the feedback, the playtest feedback. And that's, so Starfinder 2nd Edition playtest going on right now.
Yeah.
What else is there? Yeah, there was the old War of Immortals event. So this is a meta event.
Okay, yeah.
Sounds meta.
So War of Immortals is a rule book that's coming out in October. And there's also a big old meta event. There's going to be like adventure paths which cross over with it and other adventures. So I don't know a massive amount about it. I know an adventure called Pray for Death, P-R-E-Y, not A-Y, for Death, which is a big old hardcover adventure which starts this off, and that was released at Gen Con yesterday. So that launched. So this entire meta event, I guess, continues on throughout the next 2 or 3 months. I don't know what else to say about it.
That feels like the news.
Running up to the actual new rulebook, and that new rulebook's got new classes and stuff in it.
When are the new rulebooks coming out again?
That one is October.
Oh, so that's quite soon, really.
Yeah. And then there's going to be a setting book called Pathfinder Lost Omens Divine Mysteries coming out in November, which kind of ties into it in some way as well.
Sure.
And there's also a novel called God's Reign is also coming out in November. Yeah. All tied in together to this meta event, War of Immortals.
Yeah.
Cool.
Feels like they're leaning heavily on deities.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think a major deity dies.
Oh yeah, we talked about that earlier. Yeah, so that,
yeah,
and that shakes things up, and it's because the pantheon is kind of, it reminds me of like Greek and Roman in terms of their like beings that have agendas and are flawed and are not,
Yeah. Yeah. What else was there? There was some product announcements.
Oh yeah.
This is just a list of announcements, but there's Claws of the Tyrant is 3 adventures tied to the Gravelands and Tar-Bathon, the Whispering Tyrant. There's Spore War, S-P-O-R-E War, which is going to be the first adventure path in 2025, which sets you up for a conflict with Tree Razor, the boss monster of the Pathfinder monster book.
Oh, yeah, I think we talked about Tree Razor.
I think we mentioned Tree Razor before. And then in spring 2025, another adventure path, Shades of Blood, based on vampires trying to block out the sun. This sounds like the sort of thing a vampire would do, I guess, because they don't get on with the sun very well, do they?
Well, it seems a bit self-defeating because, like, all their food will die, but I suppose they're not. I suppose they're not big forward thinkers. Or maybe they just got like a lot of hydroponic setup already.
Maybe. Yeah. Who knows? Who knows?
We can find out, I guess, in time.
Yes, that can be part of the adventure. Exciting.
Malak the Maleficent here. If, like me, you're enjoying this podcast, please consider subscribing on Patreon for exclusive bonus content every week and the warm, fuzzy feeling of knowing you are helping to keep the show going. Subscribe at patreon.com/Morrus. There, I said it. Can you stop staring at me like that now? The things I do. All right. Don't forget, patreon.com/Morrus. Can I go now?
We've got a lot to talk about with the Player's Handbook, so shall we dive in?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Splish.
So, as of yesterday, the Player's Handbook has been released. Not to us, but
no.
If you're at Gen Con, you can.
In the US,
If you're at Gen Con, I've actually made a timeline of when you can get it because it's coming out in so many different ways over the next 2 or 3 months. We're right at the end of that list, I'm afraid. Sorry.
Yeah.
We don't get it till nearly the end of September.
Yeah,
a couple of months away. Yeah. I really don't think it's anything to do with Brexit, that one.
This would be
I
what we call...
appreciate the attempt to blame everything on Brexit, but this one possibly isn't.
Good joke. You understand those. I think.
Let me know when you tell one.
Well, I personally think it's Obama.
I just did.
So.
Anyway, so this is the timeline. So, August the 1st, yesterday, it was released at Gen Con.
Yeah.
So the book's out. 3,000 copies there, getting sold over the next 4 days. So lots of people are already picking up their copies and eagerly thumbing through it. A whole load of reviewers and influencers also got copies a while back, and their review embargo listed yesterday. So lots of YouTube videos and articles sort of hit the web yesterday, and we could talk about those in a minute. Lots and lots of them. Then, if you're not part of one of those two groups, on September the 3rd, if you're in North America, you can pick it up from a hobby store from September the 3rd. Alternatively, if you were a master subscriber on D&D Beyond, you can get the digital version on September the 3rd, if you pre-ordered it. If you're a hero subscriber, you can get it a week later on September the 10th. I'm not sure how I feel about these different tiered...
It's just a predictable result of the C-level executives at Hasbro.
It's like, we have it and we're just withholding it from you, you know.
Yeah, like with computer
and you
games.
have paid for it, but we're giving it to these people first. But anyway...
We have it,
and then
we could release it to you, but we're choosing not to because you didn't pay us extra money.
Yeah.
And if you want to support that, then that's entirely up to you.
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah. And then finally, September the 17th is the street date, the remainder street date, I guess. So that's still a month and a half away for most people. But that's when it will basically hit all the sort of Amazons and places like that.
There we go.
And the big stores.
Yes. Other bookstores do exist.
Yeah.
And this is like, I think the first one where was have decided not to support friendly local gaming stores in any way. Like,
No, the American ones
the American
on September the 3rd.
Right.
Yeah.
They get early access, so they have.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
They haven't done that in the rest of the world, but I think that's because it's really hard to do. Once it goes live in the US, it kind of So I get why, and the US is the biggest audience. So So
Well, I still don't like it.
Okay.
Not what we can do about it, eh?
As someone that does logistics and operations TTRPGs, I'm kind of like, I get it.
Crawl mistress,
and also the scale that they're doing it on is just obviously they're not going to have one stress.
But they've also got a lot more resources.
They're not going to have one stress business manager trying to do it along with everyone else. They'll have like teams of people. Imagine it was someone writing them like, actually, I work at Wizards of the Coast and I am just the stress business manager and I do everything and I'm so tired.
It seems unlikely because they'd just be too busy.
They're not going to have time to tell me about it. That's true. Anyway,
it's an intern.
Okay, so we do. I noticed we have got the table of contents up there, which contains everything I'd kind of expect.
Yeah.
So it's got
Yeah, so the table of contents, it's interesting that it's all been reorganised a little. So not everything's in the same order as it was in the 2014 Player's Handbook, which is interesting.
What are the differences?
Like, we've got combat before creating a character. Traditionally, in a Player's Handbook, creating a character is the first thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then combat comes after that.
Yeah.
Oh, they put playing the
Other way
game
around.
and then creating the character.
Yeah, so the game rules come first, and then creating a character, which is... You know, I think D&D originally set the template for a Player's Handbook or a thing, and I think most games have followed that template ever since. Like, generally speaking, you'll find most games start with creating a character, then move on to the game rules.
Maybe that...
And they're switching it round. It's interesting. And, like, equipment isn't until chapter 6. Like, near the end of the book.
I mean, assuming that you've got people who are new to the game, which is, actually a fairly good descriptor. Because I'm still running into people who think that the hobby is the same size as it was 10 or even 20 years ago. And it's like, you're just wrong, right? The hobby is so much bigger. I can't even conceptualize it myself. I'm just seeing like little tiny glimpses of it, but I know it is so much bigger than it was. And people always tell me like their experiences, and it's like, okay, but you do realise there's like orders of magnitude more people game now. It's so hard to get that across. So things like putting the ability checks, what do these mean, first, maybe, it's unlikely I can see that people will read them and understand them.
So they've made an interesting layout choice in terms of how the glossary works and how page references work.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than explaining everything as it goes, they've got a glossary and they've adopted a thing where game terms are going to be capitalised. So if you come across a term and it's capitalised, you then look it up in the glossary.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So that's basically how it works. Like the whole chapter 1, playing the game, which comes before the creating the character, is only like sort of 25 pages long.
Yep.
And that's all of the game rules.
Okay.
And then you've got pages and pages and pages of creating a character. But you've got 25 pages is basically the rules of D&D and the combat rules. 25 pages out of a nearly, 400-page book. It's a very small part of that book. But related to that, though, is the fact that they don't explain everything necessarily as you go along. You flip to the glossary to look up the definitions of terms which have been capitalised.
Yeah.
All throughout. So it makes it's a different approach. I'd have to try it in play to see how it worked.
Yeah. I mean, what were we saying? It was the actual playing the game. It's 71 to 98.
25 pages, or 23 pages, in fact.
Yeah, like
It's from pages 6 to 29.
Yeah, the 2014 Player's Handbook, it goes from 171 to 198. So that is 27 pages. Yeah, so
Is that including the combat rules?
yes.
Oh, okay.
Chapters 7, 8, and 9, using ability scores, adventuring, and combat.
Oh, and that's all just 27 pages?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It's a remarkably thin amount of information to read, and yet many people are so resistant to doing it.
Well, the game really isn't that complex a game. It just has a lot of stuff in it that you can look up and reference. Lots of spells, lots of monsters, lots of abilities. But they're all just things that you can choose. They're not core rules systems.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
It's
They're modular items.
Yeah, I think it's probably the biggest misnomer people throw against it. They say they're big books, they must be complicated. And they're really not complicated. You got a core mechanic, and there's a lot of it, and then you're just handling exceptions as they come. It's, I guess, people's insistence that they be able to hold the entire corpus of the books in their heads that causes trouble. But it's I wouldn't expect that of any system. I wouldn't expect.
Yeah, you don't have to memorise all the spells.
Yeah,
of course not.
I feel there's almost an expectation of some people that they can and should be able to do such a thing. Which I'm I have never tried to do such a thing in my life. I guess I was trained in chemistry, so it's I have a periodic table and textbooks and books to look stuff up in.
I don't need to memorise all these things. What you need to know is where they are and how they fit together.
Yeah.
I mean,
and where to look up the details.
Yeah, I've memorised that the atomic weight of oxygen is 16. I'm surprisingly good at the first part of the 16 times table because I need to know how much oxygen weighs. But you know what? Everything else, I'll just look it up. I know where to look it up. And I guess that glossary concept, this information management, is quite good, actually. Yeah. That's a nice bit.
I mean, I think it means a bit of page flipping because you'll be looking up the combat rules and you'll look up, I don't know, falling damage. For example, falling damage, and it will have a reference to a term, and then you'll flip to the glossary to find out what that means. Yeah. So it will be a little page flippy, but of course, when you're using it online, which is where they're going, really want you to go. That's a click.
That's a hyperlink.
You're going to hover your mouse. You probably just hover your mouse over it, and it just pops up in a tooltip. In fact,
I would be surprised if they did it any other way. Because that's just a really sensible, nice way to help people learn it. Yeah.
So that is So basically, what we have here, the book is basically a sort of dead tree version of an online platform in a way.
Yeah. Okay, that's not an inaccurate description. They've broken feats up, I noticed, which is quite interesting. Before, you just it's a feat, get over it. Now we have origin feats, general feats, fighting style feats, and epic boon feats.
Yeah, very, very Pathfinder-y that, isn't it?
If you're going to steal from the best.
Yeah, that's exactly what Pathfinder does. Has all different categories of feats.
Yes,
ancestry feats and class feats, and
the whole system is 20 feats makes your character. Yeah.
It's a lot of feet. You're like a little centipede at some point there. Okay, no one laughed, so let me explain. Let me explain the joke. Okay.
Yeah.
Because centipede have a lot of feet, spelled F-E-E-T. And
that did
and
make
feet
it funnier.
is a pun, even though it's spelled F-E-A-T. It's said the same as someone's foot.
I'm so glad you explained that. That made it like 10 times funnier. It really did.
That was a very good fake laugh.
Whereas I lost a will to live, so I think everybody except me is happy.
Oh, PJ, I never said I was happy. Anyway, what else is new with the Player's Handbook?
Well, I was looking at all these reviews. I mean, there's lots of them, and most, it looks like Wizards has mainly sent it to video content creators, which basically means you're looking at sort of hour-long reviews of things, so I haven't had a chance to, because I'm looking at sort of like 16, 17 of them here. I haven't had a chance to watch 16, 17 hours of video reviews.
Oh, good Lord.
But there is a list. I have made a list. I've put an article of all the reviews as I come across them on EN World, and you can just click through and just, if you have 16, 17 hours to spare, watch them all. There are a few written ones, not many.
Yeah.
Comic Books got one. Comic Book Resources, Wargamer, and RPG Bot. Those four sites so far I found have written reviews, and I imagine more will come out over the next week.
Our RPG Bot does very thorough reviews. Well, I think they're very thorough because I'm a massive rules nerd. So if you're like me and you're a big nerd, you probably already know about RPG Bot.
Yeah. Well, I know that a lot of YouTube creators that have not yet released reviews did receive the book.
Yes.
So I assume we'll just see those in the next week or so.
A certain amount of digesting going on.
Yeah, but they got them early, so I don't quite know what the timing is on that.
Yeah.
And they have had them for a while. But of course, then you've got 3,000 people who are literally just picking it up at Gen Con right now.
Yeah.
So you can expect an explosion of reviews once people get home from Gen Con and get back to their computers and get a chance to start writing. And they'd probably be reading the books on the flight on the way home and things like that. Absolutely. I think you can expect an explosion next week.
Yeah.
But the general vibe is it's better than 2014, but not sort of like transcendently better.
Yeah.
It is better a bit.
Yeah.
It's kind of the vibe I'm getting.
Yeah.
It's basically, it'll feel familiar. It's a bit better.
Yeah.
But it's not like life-changingly better.
It's quite interesting. Classes appear to have gained about an extra 20, 30 odd pages. Best I can make out. And feats have doubled in length. So
Well, that will be all the new subclasses, won't it?
Yeah,
because they've made sure that every single class has 4 subclasses.
Yeah. I guess then I'm just wondering, what have they cut? What is no longer in the players? What doesn't meet the 2024 needs? I guess
I have seen references to things that are not in there.
Yeah.
Things like contested checks and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
But there are people kind of theorising maybe they've been put in the DMG because it's more like the DM will just say, you make a check and you make a check. Yeah. And from the player's point of view, they're just making a check and they know how to make a check. Yeah. Whereas guidelines for contested check, but I don't know that for sure. People are just theorising maybe that's where it's gone.
I guess that might include things like grappling, because unless you're going to do something sensible like have it versus a static DC, say, otherwise.
I'll tell you one thing that is totally gone: encumbrance.
Oh,
it's gone.
Yeah.
It's basically been reduced to your DM might tell you if you're carrying too much.
Right. So,
in fairness, I do know very few D&D groups that use the encumbrance rules.
Yeah, so I think encumbrance rules. They get used in things like online games, like Baldur's Gate and stuff, because it does it for you.
Yeah. Well,
once you're counting it yourself.
Well, as we previously established, this is moving to an online platform, a digital platform. So having it all calculated for you digitally is very much part of it, and that was something I noticed with the D&D Beyond character sheets, that they'd happily do it. But I think they've sort of, like, it took me a while to cotton on, but people like journeys, they like exploration challenges. What they don't like is they don't like survival. They don't like tracking rations, and they don't like encumbrance, because it's, like, feels a bit like nickel and dimey. Like, nobody wants their character to die of hunger in a D&D. Powered by the Apocalypse? Maybe. Oh, Jessica's got a big hat.
I love that sort of game. I'm so sad. And it's niche. I know it's niche. I know it's not
very
a general
OSR.
thing.
Yeah.
I do
Yeah,
enjoy
enjoy
scrambling around resource management style of things. I want the mechanics to be smart so it doesn't feel like too much of a chore. Like in Level Up Supply, it's just like that counts as your food, stuff you'll need. It's just one general thing. So it's not like I'm tracking how many twigs do I have to start a fire, but it's like how much, I do because I really like survival horror, and I was going to run a campaign, and I described to my friends it's survival horror, so there's going to be a lot of sitting in a room crying because we don't have enough beans to eat. And I said this to them because I was like, this is not for everyone.
And they were like, no. Whereas
I had 4 players for that campaign.
They're lucky players. I think basically,
it's niche.
If you care about logistics, yes, then you will probably enjoy survival horror. If you do not care about logistics and you think it's yucky and horrible, you will not like survival horror.
Well, that flavour of survival horror, if it's about resources, absolutely. Absolutely. But you can do that with game mechanics. I'm aware the majority of people don't enjoy that, so I'm not surprised it's not in D&D, which is a very mainstream RPG.
Yeah. What else can we say about this?
But incidentally, we mentioned about how things like encumbrance and stuff like video games handle that for you. The big 3D virtual tabletop, Project Sigil or Sigil, I don't know which pronunciation, whether they're pronouncing it like the place
or the
Sigil or the word. Sigil,
yeah.
Project Sigil. It is now. Project Sigil is apparently going to be in beta testing hands later this year.
Ooh.
Now, I think that is where we are really going to start seeing some of this coming together. Like the way the glossary works with rules lookups, that's going to come together really well. Things like encumbrance might be handled automatically by something like that. So that's where we're going to start seeing the big shift to basically, it's going to be like a DM'd version of Baldur's Gate almost.
Yeah.
That's kind of like what Neverwinter Nights almost was.
Yeah. I mean, I hear what you're saying. It's just like the thing that I found pretty immersion breaking about Baldur's Gate, the Baldur's Gate 2 computer game, was you could just have like 40 odd polearms in your adventure. And you could just carry as much as you could carry, and that could be stupid amounts of stuff. And for me, this is, as a GM, this is very immersion breaking. Like someone says, oh, I actually had a ladder. It's like you had a step ladder that you've been carrying around for the past 3 hours. It's never come up.
No one's been like, why are you hot?
no one's noticed why you've been carrying a step ladder. Like, that tunnel you went through, you were carrying a step ladder down it, were you? Oh, okay. Because like
the only way around it is if you have a magic one that's like kept tiny in a box and you open it and it expands, or like a bag of holding, then it's like fat.
Every time they went through a door, that step ladder would turn into a...
Well, I assume they're not a dog. They know to rotate it, They're not like my dog with a stick trying to get through a fence.
Yeah.
I don't know, there's a lot of credit here. But like the magic step ladder that's very small, the cloak of useful items is a literal magic item. So,
Oh, I had that once in a campaign. It was very fun.
Oh, you should try it, the A5E one. I had a lot of fun with that.
I haven't tried the A5E one.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of Easter eggs if you're prepared to look at the table of numbers and so forth. Anyway, we should move
on. Right, so other news. We also have some looks at the monster manual, which doesn't come out until February 2025.
Right.
So it's quite a way away, but we've got 3 stat blocks to look at. We have got an ancient green dragon, we've got the Kuatoa, and we have got a skeleton. And it does show, the stat blocks are brand new. They've very much redesigned the look of a stat block.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. You can see a lot of this new style, like capitalising, like the word, anything that's a game mechanic is now capitalised, which I think is where we tie into the glossary. So basically, if you're reading along and you see something capitalised, it's in the glossary. Whether that's a condition, whether it's the word disadvantage, whether it's the word saving throw, or whatever, it's always a spell name. It's always capitalised now, it looks like.
Oh, wow, that's going to give people connections. So they've changed the layout of the way they put the ability scores.
Yeah, and I like that, actually. I don't think it's as attractive to look at, but I think it's more useful.
I think we talk about that the other week? Because we talked about
we
the...
did,
Okay.
Yeah, so you've got the modifier and the save there.
That is and that is a much nicer way to put it out. That is very,
Yeah. I mean, I find it a little more... Yeah. I don't think it's as attractive. It's a bit blocky, but it is definitely more useful.
It's efficient,
definitely.
yes.
They've also called out initiative at the top as well.
Yeah.
So...
With the passive initiative and so forth.
Right at the top right, yeah, we've got initiative. I'm looking at the Kiwatoa right now.
Based on the initiative 15, that would be.
Well, I'm looking at the Kiwatoa. That's initiative plus 0 with 10 in brackets.
Yeah, so I think probably what they've got is they've got big scary monsters get a 15, regular dudes get a 10, and maybe slow ones get a 5.
Well, if you look at the Green Dragon, we have got plus 8 with 23 in brackets.
Wow.
So I'm not sure how this is calculated. I can't see, the dexterity bonus is with dexterity of 12, so it's got a plus 1 dexterity bonus. And so it's not keyed off its dexterity.
Is it on its dex save? Because its dex save matches that.
It's usually...
see if that links.
Yeah, that's going to be a coincidence. I've heard rumours that you might be able to have proficiency in initiative. I don't know how true that is. That a monster might have proficiency in initiative.
It should have proficiency somewhere.
What would the proficiency bonus for a CR22 creature be?
Pass.
Let me just go have a check.
Plus 7? If it's plus 7, that works. Plus 1 for dex, plus 7 for proficiency.
Yeah, designing monsters.
I think what we're figuring out in this conversation is it's useful that they've calculated this for us and put it in there.
What CR22 did you say?
22.
Plus 8.
Oh, plus 8. Okay.
That's what Paul reckons.
So we've got initiative plus 8.
Yeah.
I don't know how that works then, because its dexterity bonus is also plus 1. And then it's got 23 in brackets, which is effectively plus 13.
Well, the dexterity... wait, so save... Let's say... So it seems to be proficient in dex save, so that would be plus 7 then? Except it's got... Yeah. It looks like it's got proficiency bonus plus 7 based on the wisdom and dexterity, which it...
it literally says CR22, proficiency bonus plus 7. It's right there. Okay, that's what it is then.
Yes,
that's
so
what
it is.
So,
yes, on the CR part. Yeah.
So it is proficiency bonus plus dex bonus.
Yeah.
Because it's proficient in initiative.
It is written there, yeah.
And then the passive...
So that is how they're doing it.
Yeah, so it's basically like a save, if you're proficient.
That took us a while to get there, didn't it?
It did, didn't it?
I feel like I didn't help at all. So everyone knows, I did nothing to contribute, but I was present.
Yeah,
I imagine the monster manual clearly explains that. I mean,
yeah, I imagine it does. Yeah. Apparently, it needs to because people aren't smart.
Okay, so anyway, so
I guess why is it 23? Is the
I don't get why it's 23.
Well, that's what I was saying with my
because I would say it must be 18 at that point.
Well, that's what I was saying. The difference to 15 would be if you've got a big boss monster, it's going to have like a space.
No, we've got a difference of 5. Where's it getting the 5 from?
What?
Who knows?
You give the bigger monsters a base 15, and then you add their initiative.
Yeah, but they're not doing that, are they?
Well, how do you know that?
That's clearly not what they're doing.
That's the difference of 15. So that's what I'm saying. How do you know they're not doing that? Because where's the Kiwatoa then?
Right, let me look at the Kiwatoa.
Yeah.
Okay, let me.
Because I'm saying, like, you have your minions.
Actually, no, let me look at the skeleton. I haven't looked at the skeleton yet. Let's look at a different one. Where's the skeleton? Skeleton.
Which one? The regular or the flaming skeleton?
Oh, okay, it's got lots of skeletons.
Or the warhorse, or the minotaur.
Okay, so the skeleton itself has initiative plus 3, brackets 13.
Yeah. So base of 10 plus 3.
And that's a dexterity mod of plus 3. And
not proficient.
Not proficient in initiative. Okay, so that's how that works.
Yeah. All of the skeletons are like that as well.
Okay, okay, so that's how that works. Okay.
Skeletons don't have much personality. You don't really want them to be acting super quick in a fight.
Yeah. So the Kiwatoa, initiative plus 0.
10.
Brackets 10.
Yep.
It's a CR quarter creature, dexterity bonus plus 0, not proficient. Okay.
So it's a chump that's here to be stabbed.
So basically, the Green Dragon is the same, except the passive is just 5 points higher.
Yes.
So maybe PJ's
big scary monsters go faster, so they get a chance to act before they're
they're getting a plus 5. Yeah, he's getting a plus 5. It's just it doesn't tell you where the plus 5 is coming from. That's all.
No, it wouldn't on stat block. That would probably be in the thing. But that would be
maybe.
But based on the observed facts, which are chumps get the regular rules, and a green dragon
gets plus 5.
An ancient green dragon, so presumably it's like been around the block. Gets a bonus.
Got it. Found it.
No,
you got it.
Battle ready. The dragon has advantage on initiative rolls.
Ah, there we go.
There we go.
Which equates to +5 on a D20 roll.
There we go. Perfect.
That's what it is.
Well done, Morrus equal.
Okay, I've solved it.
I'm glad you have, because that was bothering me.
I am a D&D detective. That's what I am. Or someone who can just read words on the page in front of me.
Interesting. Read stat block.
I didn't think to do that, in fairness.
That'll never fly.
That wouldn't be your go-to option. Guessing is much more fun.
I was doing the thing I do as a player in puzzle games. I was like, well, I'll just be present, and these other two people are going to figure it out before I can. So I'll just wait, and it will happen. And I was right. It's exactly what happened.
Hashtag just fighter things. Very relatable.
So they've got the new format for reactions, which we've looked at before, but it's trigger and response. It's basically the same as before, but it's just laid out differently to make it clearer.
It's laid out sensibly, which I find good because it's very clear that reactions have been supposed to have a trigger and response. But yeah, sorry. I'll take my angry editor hat off and put it towards
I'll tell you what that is. That was the 4E way of doing it. Everyone pushed back hard against that, so 5E went, we're going to natural language instead. Now they're finding that now they're going back to that. So
let's do it in a sensible way. Jeremy Crawford can only answer so many questions on Twitter.
Yeah. Other than that, I mean, it's not like that stat block's not amazingly different. It's it's cosmetic changes mainly, as far as I can see. The capitalisation, the way reactions are laid out.
Yeah, I like the artwork as well.
The artwork's lovely for the Green Dragon. Yeah.
I mean, for all of the monsters I'm looking at, I think the artist did a good job.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
It's CR22.
Yeah.
41,000 XP or 50,000 in layer.
Yes, I'm going to guess on the next page,
layer actions,
which we can't see. There's going to be layer actions and
stuff.
Well,
on the top right of the page of text, it does say Green Dragon layers. So
that just says
the different sorts of places that you might find them.
Yeah, that's just the fluff text. Yeah. But on the next page, I bet we're going to get layer actions and stuff. Yeah,
mechanical benefits of it.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's what that'll be.
Very intrigued and very excited. Could it be that they've actually tried to fix XP?
They said they had.
That was the intention.
Well, the challenge rating system.
I mean, if that's the case,
fix is a strong word. Fix is a strong word. They said they're going to make sure stat blocks match the challenge rating it says.
Oh, yeah, that sort of thing. Like, because the Shadow in the 2014 book was CR1/4, and I can assure you that is a great way to TPK your level 1 party with the strength terrain.
Yeah,
that'll kill many of them just dead. What
they have said importantly is what they're not going to do is change the CRs, because if you're like playing an older adventure and you come across, I don't know, a bullet, and it's I don't know what it is. Let's say it's CR5. I've got no idea what a bullet is. And then you just go and use the new one, and it happens to be CR10 instead. You're going to kill your party. So what they're going to do is just make sure that the bullet stat block is a CR5 encounter.
It works according to the things. No, absolutely 100%. I mean, I guess when I was talking about fixing, I mean, like you didn't have weird unintended effects like you're supposed to have 6 encounters per day sort of thing, which meant that once you start getting into the teens, you find yourself saying, I've gained so much XP in 3 encounters that I've now leveled up. So leveling up like twice per day, which we've seen time and time again with things like, essentially like, quote, cheating. I know that's like a bit of a...
But I think Mike Mills has said more than once the CR system wasn't the best option they had available to them in the 2014 rule set, but they went with it because people were familiar with it from previous editions.
Yeah, it's like they didn't. They had a nice graph, but it's like it's clear it was rushed out. Like there's a lot of editing stuff in there. It's like when you start delving into it, you're like, okay, I can see where bits are missing.
Yeah, so I think structurally, it's not going to change.
But yeah. I mean, I would hope that they would change the XP that characters gained to level up.
Right. Gotcha. I don't think that's changing.
No, but they haven't.
From what I've seen.
I don't think so. It's fine. Whatever.
Yeah.
Well, I think they didn't. They don't want to make it so different that it wasn't backwards compatible, and that's the issue when you want to make changes. Like, and if something needs a complete overhaul, you can't make it completely backwards and compatible.
Yeah.
Like, it's just
then you're playing Curse of Strahd, and it says you run into a werewolf,
right? Yeah.
And that werewolf if you're using a 2014 werewolf, puts you up a level. If you're using a 2024 werewolf, doesn't, breaks the adventure.
Yeah, like I'm not saying change some CR of the monsters. That's
but the XP value of that CR, I mean,
because Strahd
you mean you'll progress through that adventure at a different rate to what the adventure writers thought you were going to progress through it.
Yeah.
But
that's the problem.
Adventure writers can't. Well, that's the reason why most adventures only go up to like maybe 12, and very few go up to 16, which would be the double bill of the very first adventure written, Rise of the Dragon Queen. Is because like the numbers don't add up, and you will be leveling up twice a day. You cannot write a mega dungeon to account for like a proper 1 to 20 star mega dungeon. Can't be a thing because you cannot allocate an XP budget. It is an absolute nightmare.
Yeah, I suspect they'd probably write assuming milestone leveling anyway.
Yeah,
I think,
that's the proper way.
A lot of people I know use milestone leveling. I don't know if that's just my circle of players, but I know that's a very popular option.
Well, it's incredibly popular because it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, it solves a lot of problems.
It makes it easier for the GM to pace the campaign in the way they intend.
Yeah, but, we're not talking about XP. Let's move on.
Oh, maybe. Have we got a topic for next week?
I mean, if you like.
So, other little sort of tidbits. The bloodied condition is back.
Love that.
Yeah.
So that's back in there. Pretty much the same as it was in 4E, same as it is in Level Up. It's basically a tag, half hit points.
Yeah.
You had the bloody condition, and it doesn't have effects on its own, but other things can hinge off of that.
Yeah. So that's
officially back,
which is like how elites are done in Level Up, which is a good way to do it. I like it.
Yeah. I'm now looking at the intro pictures of the multiverse, which is the first 2 pages in Appendix A. It's got a couple of lovely pictures of the planes, and then we've got the multiverse introduction, the material realms, transitive planes, inner planes. That's all the same as before, really. There's no massive. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I don't know. I mean, we could like comb through stuff and just like list tidbits, but I feel that would get quite boring to listen to.
I feel it would.
When people can just go to the link in the show notes, find that list of reviews, and there's been people have gone into so much detail there. You can sort of like tailor how much detail you want to go into.
I noticed that they've got rid of inspirational reading, which is like a little bit sad.
Interesting.
Maybe that's in the DMG or something.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. I mean, the DMG, like, this is the... I have to say, I recently read the 4th edition DMG, which is not a sentence I thought would ever leave my mouth. And I'm like, wow, this is really good. Like, I am learning so much. Like, just...
It's a good it's a good DMG, yeah. It is.
Honestly, just grab a PDF off Drive for RPG and you will become a better DM.
I think a lot of the problems with 4E was that people didn't read the DMG.
Yes, maybe. I don't know. I was in a more playing state at that time, especially for D&D, because I didn't really know anything about it. But there's a lot of really good stuff, which I think we could see more of. So I'm hoping that the DMG will do that. That would be amazing.
I think probably it will.
Yeah,
what was also interesting? Apparently, bonds, flaws, what are they again? Bonds, flaws,
ideals.
Bonds, flaws, and ideals are gone.
Yeah, well, that's been de facto official for some time now with D&D Beyond.
Well, yes, I've never actually played in a game where people actually used them.
I've never played in a game where someone used them and they were rewarded by the GM, which is a different sort of thing.
Yeah. That's about it, really. I mean, I don't know. I was to say there's going to be so much more information coming out over the next few days.
Yeah. I wonder if they...
so we can probably revisit the topic again next week to cover stuff that we weren't able to get to this week.
Yeah. A little bit of reorg, which might be quite interesting, is I noticed they moved multi-classing to creating a character, as opposed to squirreling it away in the optional rules.
Yeah.
So, that looks like multi-classing is going to be a de facto rule. So,
and that makes sense, because I think so many people love doing it, so I think it wasn't an optional, it was just a thing that you do.
I mean, it's just,
Oh, do you want to know the new stealth rules?
Always.
Right, so we've got the hide action.
I love that.
So with the hide action, you can try to conceal yourself. You've got a flat DC 15 dexterity stealth check.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
You have to be heavily obscured or behind 3/4 of total cover.
So I have to interrupt you to say that Jessica is going with the policy of just because they can't see you. Just because you can't see them doesn't mean they can't see you.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Let's move on.
Yes. So basically, DC 15 dexterity stealth check.
Yes.
Okay.
On a successful check, you have the invisible condition.
Okay.
So that's more like this.
Jessica's now switched off her cat. More or less is at home.
That joke works really well on a podcast format, I realise.
Especially audio. It's amazing.
You've just gone into a whole sort of lengthy physical comedy routine that nobody can see.
I'm doing my best to
Do
describe.
you know what? PJ's enjoying it, and
I enjoy it.
what more do I need?
Fair enough.
Thank you.
Fair enough. So you get the invisible condition.
Right.
Then you make a note of your check's total, and any creature will see you if it makes a wisdom perception check.
Right.
And the condition immediately ends, the invisible condition immediately ends if you make a sound louder than a whisper, an enemy finds you, okay?
I guess they could
you make
walk
an attack
into you.
roll, or you cast a spell with a verbal component.
Okay.
Makes sense. Feels reasonable.
I mean, it's going to require people to understand what the invisible condition actually means. Because,
Well, that is here too.
good.
Ooh.
Because the invisible condition means that they have disadvantage to
That was the
attack
next
you, and you have advantage to attack them.
Yeah. Correct. So, invisible condition. Advantage on initiative.
Oh, nice.
You aren't affected by any effect that requires the target to be seen.
Fair. That's a lot of spells.
Any equipment you are wearing or carrying is also concealed.
Mm-hmm.
And as you just said, attacks against you have disadvantage and you have advantage.
Yeah. Seems legit. Yeah. Which
Seems
is
quite powerful.
like,
Just hiding. DC 15 check.
well, previously the stealth rules were you take the hide action, and if you beat the enemy's passive perception, you were hidden. And their passive perceptions were not 15, I assure you, because that's like 10 plus 5, unless they're skilled in perception, which zero monsters are.
Which in 2014 rules, they are now.
Yeah, you'll get more of them now, I imagine, because that's effective. But yeah, like, a flat DC 15 does make it much easier to rep, I guess. And makes it does mean I feel that as a rogue you're if they've not changed expertise, then picking stealth expertise as a rogue is now pretty much compulsory. Otherwise, you won't be able to gain advantage, and you won't be able to use sneak attack.
Yeah.
Unless they change that, it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there we go.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I
I think we've probably
I think
done for now, are we?
we've done a lot of talking for like a page, like 5 pages of material, which are like 3 stat blocks.
If we can do
and
anything,
table
it's
contents.
waffle.
It's true. Maybe we should form some sort of house. The house of waffle.
People are really disappointed when they come in and it's just us talking. They'll be like, I wanted food.
Yeah. Where's my pancakes? Where's my fight? Anyway, that's a little American joke for you.
Well,
And then,
Right,
with
okay.
my transatlantic humour.
We'll revisit this topic again next week, and then we'll almost certainly have more information, because by then, those 3,000 people will have been posted
yes,
online.
so we'll have all the Gen Con people and embargoed people.
So many screenshots. Looking forward.
So many streams.
Something to look forward to next week.
There is a YouTube video of someone flipping through the entire book, if you really want to sit and watch that. It's long.
Okay. Good to know.
Page by page.
Good to know.
Oh,
All right.
mate, you can't even get me to like do videos for things that I actually care about. Like, it's a TTRPG. I don't care that much. I will either get it explained to me, or God help me, I will read the book myself. Watch a video of someone reading a book. Wow, that actually sounds painful. I would not enjoy that at all. I know for a fact. Sorry.
All right. Anyway, I think we're done. I think we are done. Let's go and have weekends.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
Apparently, I now have to read this to you. This is the official podcast of Morrus's unofficial tabletop RPG news, which you can find at enworld.org. You can find show notes at morrus.podbean.com or wherever you found the podcast. If you feel like they deserve it, you can support the show on Patreon. In return, you will receive exclusive bonus content. Just go to patreon.com/Morrus. If you're interested in his babbling nonsense, you can follow at Morrus on the Twitter. Send your emails to morruspodcast@gmail.com. Not all of your emails, just the ones you want us to see. That's it. I'm bored now. You can go away. Shoo, off you go. Goodbye. Get out of here.
And I'm hoping to come across my first likeable female character at some point. It's doable, I
PJ,
believe.
women aren't likable.
Well, I mean...
Imagine that soundbite getting out on the internet. I was being deeply sarcastic, in case anyone didn't mention.
Yes, but that explanation won't be going out in the soundbite.
Yeah, because
That's how
fair
soundbite
enough.
Right, so
I'm just trying to think of a way to respond
so
to
Jessica's
that.
career is now over in TTRPGs, unfortunately.
Where it would be if anyone listens to the podcast.
Women don't play TTRPGs, I'll be fine.
that definitely solves the problem.
Now it's like Gary Gygax.
The second soundbite definitely solves the problem.
Oh gosh, it would be funny if people didn't say those things and actually mean them.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.